It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Kreshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Hot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Mentzner Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverbelt Credit Union, April Rosebergy EXP Realty, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. And good morning and welcome to another edition of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. And again, you can also catch all the programs on YouTube, youtube.com. Go to the 98.9 WXCO page, be able to watch and hear the programs, and also easily go back and watch and hear previous Sully's College Football Page programs as well throughout the course of the season. Second show of the 2025 campaign, and welcome back to the man who the website and the radio show is named after, Sully, Dan Sullivan. Sully, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Chad. And I know you had a busy week this week. Did the Warrior game, then you did you not do an East High game as well?
I did the Newman game last night.
Oh, but you did an East game
last
week ago.
Yep, last week. That's running all over the place.
Yeah, but, it sounds like it.
Yeah, it is truly football season. So much football news going on. A lot of people excited about a big trade for the Packers, but now the college football season, we have some games to talk about and a whole bunch over the next 2 hours as we lead you up to kickoff on another college football Saturday. And we got a full house here today.
We do. Michael's joining us. I use Mike and rely on Mike for a lot of recruiting information and really good insights into college football in general.
Welcome to the program. Welcome back. And make sure you get nice and close to that microphone here because people need to hear you.
Good to be back. Excited for the season.
Terrific. And so let's jump right in because Thursday night, late kickoff at Camp Randall Stadium. The Wisconsin Badgers got things underway against Miami of Ohio. And I would say that the Badgers defense, which has been a foundation for this program for a number of years, off to a really good start, and that offense is still a bit of work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk about numbers here, but I want to say the Badgers held them to like 34 yards rushing, which is encouraging, Chad, because last year the Badgers were second to last in rush defense in the Big Ten. Now, granted, Miami of Ohio is not a Big Ten team, but nonetheless, there's a very good team out of the MAC and have played the Big Ten very respectably over the years. So I thought the defense was like days of yore where they looked quick to the ball, and when they got there, they delivered a punch. So they looked really good.
Wisconsin seems, though, one thing in the Fickle era, they seem to have some issues keeping their quarterbacks healthy. That's been one issue for Wisconsin with Tanner Mordecai a couple of years ago, with Van Dyke last year, and now again, some quarterback issues with Danny O'Neill.
For lack of a better term, it's almost bizarre. How can you have three guys go down like that in 3 years? And luckily, I think bringing in, Danny O'Neill was kind of a good thing in the sense that he has starting experience. He played last year at San Diego State, so they had somebody who has been in that circumstance or a circumstance that he could draw from.
And I should have said Billy Edwards was one injured for Wisconsin, the Maryland transfer, but at the same time, you're right to have somebody be able to step in and get a couple of touchdown drives in the second half to be able to pull away from the win. And Mike, what jumped out about the game for you on Thursday night?
Well, I think Miami of Ohio has a very good football coach. Chuck Martin was Brian Kelly's defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. Extremely good coach. It's not surprising to me that Miami of Ohio's been in the conference championship game. The team's probably better than people think, and that was a very solid win for the Badgers.
Yeah, you said it for Miami, 117 yards of total offense. I mean, you don't see that in the college football game very often. Badgers not overwhelming with 353 yards, but when your defense is stepping up that big time, it is really hard to win. And another area that Wisconsin really had a big edge in was on third downs. They were able to convert on half of their third down conversions, 8 of 16, and not one time did Miami be able to keep a drive alive with a third down conversion, 0 for 9 for the game.
Yeah, when you look at a single-digit number on third down attempts allowed, you're doing well on defense because they're not making one and then getting an option or an opportunity to make another. They just shut them down on third down and basically got that offense right back on the field. I'm with you. You would have liked to see a little better offensive performance. But then, Billy Edwards goes down, and Fickle was talking about after the game that, Danny O'Neill had not had a lot of reps in practice because they were trying to get Billy Edwards ready. So all things considered offensively, it's understandable what occurred.
O'Neill finished 12 of 19 for 120 yards. One touchdown, one pick. Miami quarterback DeQuan Finn, just 9 of 18 for 83 yards, no touchdowns and 2 picks, running the football. And then, of course, we've heard a lot during the off season about Wisconsin trying to get back to a little bit more of a balance in terms of a little bit of that Wisconsin running DNA. Dylan Jones had 73 yards on 14 carries, just over 5 yards per run. Not any huge chunks of yardage, only 11 yards as the long run. And receiving the football, Vinny Anthony 4 for 57 yards. So nothing that really jumped out offensively in the football game, and that's probably what you would expect when it was a 3-0 game pretty late into the third quarter.
Yeah, and with Anthony, 14.3 yards per reception. So that's something that, you're throwing the ball down the field. And so that was good, although his long was 37. And so, again, a very acceptable first game start. And then, I thought Elrigo had he had 4 total tackles, 3 solo, 2 sacks, a tackle for loss. So he had a very good game on the defensive side.
And 14 turnovers. That's always something that's a big factor in the football game, and Wisconsin was able to force some turnovers.
Well, Chad, if you look at it and you're talking potential, you could say every time you turn the ball over, that's a 14-point swing because it's the 7 you can now get and the 7 they can't. I suppose you could be technical and say it's a 16 if you decide to go for 2. But nonetheless, when you're talking 2 turnovers like that, you're talking a 28-point swing, and it shortens the possession time for the opponent. It just does a lot of things that can be very difficult to overcome.
I will say that one thing that I would like to see the early part of the season that we did not see last year in these non-conference games, as a Big Ten team, if you hope to be a Big Ten power, you have to be, I think, a little bit more of a bully when it comes to these non-conference games. Win the games by a major margin. And yeah, you said it, the MAC is a strong conference. I mean, Minnesota had a little trouble with a MAC opponent as well on Thursday night. But for Wisconsin, again, just like last year, in the first game of the season was too hard. I mean, Mike, shouldn't they be a little bit more dominant here for these games, especially when the hard games are still to come in a couple of weeks?
Ideally, yeah, you'd like to see a better offensive performance, though I do give them a little bit of a pass. When you have a quarterback go down that early, your game plan's kind of out the window.
So, yeah, if you look at it, you want to be able to perform at a high level in terms of you want to win the turnover battle, you want to win the third down battle, and you want to win the red zone battle. And the Badgers did such a good job defensively. I don't know how many times Miami of Ohio got in there, but when they were able to get in, nothing came of it. So a dominating performance from the Badgers.
I mean, Miami of Ohio had more net punt yards than they did offensive yards. It's usually a good sign.
Well, the good news for Billy Edwards Jr. is the MRI has become clean. He's knee sprain week to week at this point, so we'll see whether or not he's available in week 2. Probably tough at this point. Again, I'm not a doctor, but that would be hard to have him not be available before Alabama and some of these other big games that are coming up. Yeah, as a transfer quarterback, that's got to be concerning, not getting some more reps here in these 2 non-conference games that are considered maybe the springboard to some of the really tough games the Badgers have on this, ultimately one of the toughest schedules in the country in 2025.
And I always remember what Barry Alvarez used to say, your learning curve gets advanced the most in those first 2-3 games. And so you're right, Chad, taking Billy Edwards out, of this Middle Tennessee game really affects his rhythm. It affects his communication with the receivers. And yet, with the knee, do you really want to risk it against a team you're probably going to beat? And so, Fickell's going to have to balance that. And I would look for him to err with caution and say, hey, we're going to sit him. We'll let O'Neal go again and then try to have him ready for Bama.
Bottom line, Badgers 1-0. That's much better than 0-1. So 1-0 on the season. As Saul said, they'll be playing host to Middle Tennessee State next week at Camp Randall Stadium. Well, that's just one of the games that already have been played this weekend in terms of Big Ten teams. Thursday night, a number of rather tight games, not blowouts, and then maybe big Brett Bielema came out and threw his weight around with Illinois last night. So we'll talk about the rest of the Big Ten, the results already, and then some big matchups coming up later today and this weekend as well. So we're going to take a quick time out, come back with both the Sullivans, Dan and Mike, and talk about the Big Ten action coming up next. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs, or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now.
Dwayne's covered off. Dwayne speaking.
Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can't.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Krishock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each Fire and Ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Krishock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Raider Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, blackout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Raider's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
All right, we are back. More of Sully's College Football Page here on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, Civic Media app, and on the YouTube channel, youtube.com, the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Dan Sullivan and Mike Sullivan, I'm Chad Holmes. And so before we continue, we should always mention that for a lot of this information, you can get it right at the website, sullyscollegefootballpage.com. For folks who may be new, again, as we start a new season, lots of stuff right there.
Oh, there is, and we take a lot of pride in that and spend a lot of time with the, with getting the data entry in. And, Chad, you could, if you go to the site, which I'd encourage you to do, you can go right and follow the outline that we're working today, as well as there's a conference page so you can see every team in the Big Ten or any of the 9 conferences that are currently playing in the FBS and all 13 of the conferences in the FCS. And then because the FCS tends to play NAIA or division, they're there too, about 190 of those teams. So it has become massive over the years. And with the conference page or the team page, we're able to provide more data on the team page, the conference page more comprehensive. And then it's interactive, Chad. Mm-hmm. It's got a game reference where you can go back and look at every game the Badgers have played since 2009. And that's true for most of the 266 teams that are on there. So, yeah, it's a good resource.
Is the world famous game simulator still on there?
It sure is, and it's not up and running yet because we don't have any data. Right. Yeah, but yeah, that and we know over the years that gets more effective as you get more like opponents, because early on, today at 11 o'clock, Ohio State is playing Texas. Right. That's a little different than the Badgers playing Miami of Ohio. So there's an imbalance there. But once that conference schedule starts, it gets pretty accurate as time goes on.
All right, guys, let's talk about what happened earlier in the week in the Big Ten, and then talk about what's happening later on here in the Big Ten as well. in addition to the Wisconsin-Miami game on Thursday, 2 other games. And again, the old Big Ten MAC. It's almost like the Big Ten MAC challenge here in the Big Ten Conference. And talk about those neighbors to the west, the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. They defeated Buffalo 23-10. Buffalo's really become, over a number of years, a very solid program. And in the end, the Gophers able to win it. Takeaways from that first game for the Gophers.
Yeah, well, Ohio won the MAC last year. In fact, they played Miami of Ohio, who had beaten them earlier in the year. And in that game, Ohio came out and just took it to them. They beat them like 38-3. So this is a good team, a team that's used to winning. And you and I had talked last week, they better be ready for them, because they will come to play. And they did, Chad. They started out slow, got down, but then they kept battling and got right back in that game.
So we're talking Rutgers and Ohio. I mentioned. I kind of went off the script here because I know there's a lot of Minnesota fans here, but let's talk about Rutgers and Ohio. Greg Schiano really had a nice year last season with Rutgers. He has built brick by brick, basically, since returning to Rutgers. And as you said, Ohio is an exceptionally good program. Sometimes early in the season, you tend to see some of these games that have these ebbs and flows. And in the end, and like I said, I think earlier, when the Badgers 1-0 for Rutgers, they're 1-0. That's the bottom line, isn't it?
As time goes on in any season, you really forget about the specifics of the win, and you know that it's a win. And my apologies, I was quite aware that it was Rutgers. But anyway,
I made it audible at the line of scrimmage there. So
well, I didn't pick it up. I ran the wrong route.
Too much crowd noise.
There you go.
Yeah, there you have it. Anyway, and we had mentioned earlier, it was the way that game started. Rutgers was all over them early on, and I was surprised, to be honest. But then here they come, and they eventually tied it, and turned in to be a extremely competitive game and a real good win for Rutgers. They needed that as they struggled to get bowl eligible.
And Minnesota 23, Buffalo 10. We'll start with you, Mike. Any thoughts on the Golden Gophers as they try to work their way more into the upper tier? They've been consistently sort of in that middle tier. They're good enough to get to the bowl games. They make it into a big successful season whenever they win the Axe, but they haven't really won a lot outside of that. Your take on Minnesota in the first week?
I think it's similar to how I viewed the Badgers. It was an ordinary performance, but not a disaster either. Winning's hard.
Yeah, winning. Bottom line, win. Any thoughts on Minnesota, Sul?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a minority here. I like PJ, and I
roll
think
the boat.
And I think he's done a good job there. Quite frankly, Chad, they don't have a lot in the cupboard this year, so he's going to have to do this a little bit with smoke and mirror, and I think he will develop them. He'll get them better as they go along. And, from Buffalo's perspective, we got to give Lance Leipold a shout out here, a Wisconsin coach down in Platteville, whose record looks like a video game. That guy was like 106-6 when he was there. But anyway, he got the ball rolling at Buffalo, and they are now one of the upper level teams in the MAC. So a pretty good performance by them. And PJ took care of business, got done what he needed to get done. And, a win is a win, like you were saying.
One of your favorite guys is Matt Rule, and they got a win. Barely. They got a win. Nebraska beat Cincinnati at Arrowhead in Kansas City, 20-17. Two programs that both, I think, need wins. And in the end, Nebraska got the win, and Cincinnati got a tough loss.
Yeah, Dave Satterfield has had some challenges the last 4 or 5 years in his coaching career. He did good work in Louisville, but everybody and their cousin Louis wanted, Jeff Brom to take that job. And so then he kind of backed out of that and went to Cincy. And I thought they played Nebraska The game was at Arrowhead,
Yeah.
but it was essentially a Nebraska home game. I mean, there was constant red. Mike and I in 2000 were at a Notre Dame Nebraska game, and we thought we were at a Badger game. The Notre Dame faithful, not so much. They all sold their tickets. But anyway, a good win against Cincinnati is a formidable opponent. Certainly up until today, and arguably and effectively, arguably, the best opponent that the Big Ten has taken on was Cincinnati, Big 12 team.
And Mike, are you as big on Matt Rule as Sully is? Because he's been over the years. I mean, I think you've been with a guy who thinks that he's and his record shows it at Temple and also at Baylor. It's been a little bit of a slower turnaround at Nebraska. Do you think he's the guy that helps Nebraska get back closer? I don't think they're getting back to where they were back in the Osborne Big 8 days, but do you think he's going to be able to get Nebraska back to a consistent threat in the Big Ten?
I don't know if I would go that far, but I think he's a very good coach. I thought that Nebraska struggled a little bit up front with Cincinnati running the ball, but that'll get better. I think Matt Rule is a good coach.
And then last night, a couple of Friday night games involving Big Ten teams. Michigan State, as they do every year, they're a team that always likes to play those Michigan teams, and they played Western Michigan, gave up a late score, but other than that, solid shutout ball into the fourth quarter. Michigan State 23-6 winners over the Bronx of Western Michigan. Boy, talk about a program that's been just all over the place in recent years. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Michigan State was multiple time in the playoffs.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they signed Mel Tucker to a long-term extension, and then things went sideways with him. Jonathan Smith comes from Oregon State. Where is Michigan State right now?
Well, defensively, they played pretty well last night. In fact, they should have shut them out. Right at the end, there was a pick six that allowed them to score. And I was surprised that when that occurred, that they went for two. I couldn't figure out why they did that. It was 23. It would have been 23-7, and with the going for the two extra points, if you went for the 2 point, you could have got the lead. But they went for two, got stuffed, and then there was a couple minutes to go in the game, and Michigan State just ran the clock out. Looked real good defensively. Their quarterback pretty much, as Michael, I'm sure he had a few things to say about that, was pretty much running for his life most of the game.
And then Illinois did what a team is supposed to do. They went out there and they dominated, winning over Western Illinois 52-3. Mike, this Illinois team is being talked about as a potential to fight their way towards the college football playoff. And I know a lot of Wisconsin folks are still upset over Brett Bielema leaving for Arkansas over those years ago. But, boy, he's done a job at Illinois.
He really has done an outstanding job there. And you can see some Badger DNA in that Illinois program right now, which I'd like to see return.
More than Wisconsin has right now.
Really. Yep. They're a good team, and they'll have an outside shot to potentially win the league. Certainly, that'll get them in the playoffs if they go that far.
So, what do you think?
Well, I'm a Bielema guy. I've always liked him. I thought that when he went to Arkansas, the thing I especially liked about that was I got to watch Wisconsin twice every Saturday because they were a mirror image of the Badgers.
Red and white.
Yes, the colors, the huge offensive line, the good running game.
Except the wins and losses were not the same.
Well, and he had some injury issues with the line and things. And, down there, they're not too forgiving. And Arkansas is a team that is very frustrating for the fan base because they're going back to the 60s and
their
70s.
Mentality is maybe a little bit ahead of where they are in this SEC era, right?
Yeah, I think so. They were in the old Southwest Conference then.
A lot easier back then.
And the SEC at the end used to call that SWC stands for the So What Conference.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, I know they were kind of hard on them. But anyway, Bielema is doing a good job. And the thing about them, Chad, if you look at Phil Steele, he'll tell you they got 19 starters back because he counts guys that were in the portal that started it somewhere else, where others will just count the returning guys. But anyway, the lowest it is 17. And, with their quarterback back and some of their other key parts from a year ago, they're going to be a threat. And, when Mike says that, I'm sure most people are poo-pooing that. But, in Lee Corso's words, not so fast, my friend. This is a good Illinois team.
All right, so that's what's happened. And with the Big Ten Conference nowadays, you go through 6 games. In the old days, you're almost through all the games. But we got 12 more teams to talk about as the weekend continues. A lot of teams will be getting set to hit the field starting a little bit later on today. So we'll talk about first the Big Ten teams, the Western Big Ten teams, and then a little bit later on, we'll talk about the teams for the Eastern part of the Big Ten Conference as well. So lots of action still to talk about after we take a quick timeout. With both Sullivans, I'm Chad Holmes. We'll have more here on Sully's College Football Page coming up on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me, and they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals and the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
And welcome back. It's Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, on the Civic Media app and on YouTube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. We are talking about what's going on in the Big Ten Conference, and so many teams to talk about in this massive conference. We talked about the 6 games that have been played so far between Thursday and Friday, and lots of action still to come. Starting off with some of the Big Ten teams in the western part of the league, and going way out west is Washington. The Washington Huskies, they are home for their opener later on today. Actually, later on tonight on Big Ten Network at 10 o'clock, taking on the Rams of Colorado State. And that's a good non-conference game because obviously Colorado State is a program for the Mountain West Conference, a very solid conference. A good non-conference game, not one of those where you bring in somebody to be slaughtered. I think that's a challenge for Washington.
Yeah, this is an FBS program, so it was a previous 85 scholarship, now 105 scholarship access. And, Colorado State has, fluctuated. They've been down a little bit lately, but when we first started the site, they were the best team in the Mountain West. They had a big time rivalry with Wyoming, and they pretty much would prevail in that game. So still a very good opponent. Maybe not what they once were, but a good place for Washington to start.
Oregon and Montana State. And Mike, Oregon came into the Big Ten Conference. The transition has been very smooth for the Ducks. They've been able to work their way with Ohio State and others in the league as now one of the elites of the Big Ten Conference. A year ago, they had a struggle early in the non-conference, had to win on a last-second field goal against Boise. But Montana State, and I know we'll be talking about Montana State a little bit later on when we talk about the FCS rankings. What's your take on this one?
I have to imagine that Oregon will come into that game focused. Though Boise did make the playoffs last year, they were a good team. I'm sure Oregon will come in focused given last year's scare.
Pretty amazing the records of these teams a year ago, so.
Yeah. Well, both teams lost one game. And, a year ago, if you guys remember, Oregon opened up with Idaho, who was a team in the same conference as Montana State.
I forgot.
And they were in the fourth quarter, Mike. It was 17-14. They were just hanging on. And then the next week they were down to Boise, as you guys mentioned, by 10 or 7 or whatever it was in the fourth quarter. So based on that, and based on the fact that Montana State is significantly better than Idaho, I don't think Coach Lanning is going to have any problems getting their attention.
And 29.5-point favorites. Is that a big number, do you think?
I'm not buying that. I'm just not buying that. I know that Oregon is going to come after them. And yet Montana State, they were 15-0 going into that championship game, and North Dakota State beat them 35-32. So they were right there within 3 points, or a 3-point or a swing here, and they're the national champions, and it's 16-0.
That one is on Big Ten Network at 3:00. USC takes on Missouri State at the Coliseum early this evening on BTN. And Mike, I think along with Luke Fickell, maybe the coach that's under the most scrutiny in the Big Ten Conference is Lincoln Riley. He came in with all these expectations that he was going to be the offensive mastermind to unlock the glory again at USC, and it's not been that way for Lincoln Riley for the most part.
No, it hasn't. And SC, though they're doing a very good job addressing their issues that they've had up front in this current recruiting class, those kids aren't there today. So they're going to need to find some answers up front to have better consistency. They were a good team last year, but when you have problems up front, you're going to get wore down and lose games.
So what about Missouri State? Anything we should know about them?
Yeah, well, I have always been a critic of Lincoln
Riley.
I want to say Lincoln Riley, in that he's calling plays. He should stop that. He's the head coach. It's like, this is his toy and don't mess with it. I get to no, man, you need to get away from that, in my opinion. And as far as Missouri State goes, SC is a little bit like Notre Dame in that they don't play FCS teams. They typically don't. Last year, Missouri State was an FCS team. They were playing in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, but they have subsequently moved up to the FBS. They're now in Conference USA. And so I don't know when they scheduled this if they knew that was the year that Missouri State was going to begin the transition. But nonetheless, this will not be pretty today. SC has way too much speed for them. And Missouri State, Chad, was not a real good team in the Missouri Valley.
Well, Lincoln Riley wants to drop the Notre Dame game. So if he would have learned that they were moving up to the FBS, he probably would have wanted to drop that one too.
A really fun non-conference game will be played at the Rose Bowl. UCLA and Utah, former conference opponents. It'll be a Fox game late in the evening at 10 o'clock. And even though on the road, Utah favorites in this game.
Yeah, well, it's going to surprise people, I think, when we tell you that UCLA leads the series 12-9 because, Kyle Whitting has done such a good job over the years. But when you and I used to talk about this, Chad, we always said they were a very good Mountain West team playing in the Pac-12, and it was just a difference of talent and skill sets. And then about 7-8 years ago, Whittingham changed, and he started recruiting Texas and California, and not so much Utah, which, by the way, has very good high school football. A subsequent fact of that was Utah State got a lot better because those kids in Utah wanted to stay home, and so they started going there. But when Whittingham changed the recruiting and the players that they now could put on the field, they were a different club.
And Mike, UCLA showed a few signs of life from time to time last year, but it's still a program that has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I thought at times last year looked very down. So it'll be interesting to see if they can take a step forward because they're not in an easy conference.
Yeah, and Mike's right. Early on, they looked like they didn't belong, but
they started to, they've had nice that nice win at Nebraska that kind of stood out. That was a real bad loss for Nebraska, but it did feel like first year head coach.
Yeah,
I think second year is going to be interesting. Yeah. I think UCLA this year. So.
And that's a good point, Chad. I thought Deshaun Foster was able to keep those kids together because the second part of the season, I mean, they played pretty well.
Iowa, and you never know with Iowa in some of these games because Iowa, the defense always shows up. Will the offense show up? And Iowa takes on the University of Albany. FS1 at 5:00. I can't say this is one of the most exciting matchups to see, but what about Iowa this year? What's the rumbles in Iowa City?
Well, I think people think they're going to be better offensively, which isn't overly optimistic because it would be hard to be much weaker than they've been. But one of the interesting things about them is their quarterback is Mark Rakowski, and he was the quarterback at South Dakota State. And, Chad, you and I think that is one of the most famous games ever played when Iowa scored 7 points on 2 safeties and a field goal in that game. Grabowski is really a very good player, and I'm anxious to see him line up under center for Iowa.
And Mike, what are your thoughts on the Hawks?
Well, that score you're referencing from a few years ago, that's the day I learned I could fall asleep standing up. Hopefully Iowa has discovered the forward pass and shows some signs of life on offense.
And Northwestern and Tulane. So Northwestern going on the road to New Orleans. And again, this is one that you would not expect to see, Northwestern and Tulane. So is this one that excites you?
This game, I got to tell you, when I saw that, why is Northwestern scheduling these guys? First of all, this is one of the best G5 programs. So scheduling them, I knew right away they would not be favored, and they are not. The other thing about it is you schedule them down there. I think Northwestern is going to get smashed with the green wave today. The game in itself, for me, trying to cheer Northwestern on to become bowl eligible, this game makes little to no sense.
They're going to lose.
There is that. So I'm with you when you were saying that early. I don't know why they scheduled them. And if you're going to schedule them, you got to play them in Chicago. You cannot be going down to Louisiana to play these guys.
That was a nice trip to a very fun city for all these guys in late August. Come on.
Well, my thought is then schedule UNLV or Hawaii, but not these guys.
And that one is one of the 11 a.m. kickoffs. So we're taking you right up to 11 o'clock, and you may want to see how Northwestern does against the Green Wave coming up in just about an hour and 15 minutes. Coming up after a quick timeout, we'll talk about some of the Big Ten teams east of the Mississippi. A new look Purdue Boilermakers under their brand new head coach, Barry Odom, will be in action. Can Indiana do what they did a year ago? So we'll talk about the Hoosiers and Michigan with some of their off-season issues, and they're hoping that they're in the rearview mirror, but we'll talk about them as well. So lots still to talk about in the Big Ten Conference coming up in just a few moments. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopnose has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopnose is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopnose, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
It is Sully's College Football Page, again on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. So we have a request. Less Big Ten and more MAC from Paul Miklick. He's listening.
Well, given Mick's intellectual capabilities, that may be the most intelligent thing I've heard him say.
But no, it's great to have him listening in. Also, everybody else tuned in either on the radio or even on YouTube. Again, youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. You can watch us live every Saturday morning and also go back and relive the show on YouTube at your convenience as well. Still plenty of teams in the never-ending Big Ten Conference. There's so many teams you have to talk about. The teams on the eastern side of the Mississippi. Purdue and Ball State. And boy, last season, Purdue, you talk about rock bottom. I think Purdue hit rock bottom. It was a case where you don't want to fire a coach after 2 years, but they kind of had to fire a coach after 2 years because it was just not good.
And Mike and I were watching the game when they were playing LSU in a bowl.
Which wasn't that long ago.
Right.
That was 3 seasons ago.
That Ryan Walters had been offered the job. And Kelly was over on the other sideline sharpening his samurai sword. And LSU was just after these kids from Purdue. And Ryan Walters and Drew Brees were kind of hacking it up over on the side. And granted, he wasn't coaching the game, but maybe a little more focus, especially with the way they were getting hammered. And I thought it set a bad precedent, and then it got worse from there. So yeah, it was time for a change.
And do you think, Mike, that Odom is the answer? He's had a history at Missouri and then UNLV. Is that the kind of guy that Purdue needs?
It's probably the best they can get.
I think you're right.
They were a disaster last year, and I think Odom's a good coach. So we should see some improvement, though. I mean, there's kind of nowhere to go but up.
And Chad, I thought you had one of the best insights to that when you said when they hired Ryan Walters, he was the DC at Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and you were kind of surprised because Purdue has always taken guys with offensive backgrounds.
That's their DNA.
Yes, and it turned out to be very, prophetic. In your point,
They could have
that
made
was
me the
right.
hiring guy.
They
I would have
should-
done it for a lot less than whoever did the job.
Well, you couldn't have done much worse than what that ended up as.
You talk about the opposite in the state of Indiana, the Hoosiers. And for many years, Purdue was the football school in that state. Indiana was more of the basketball school. But now it's the opposite, where Purdue is better in basketball and Indiana is now better in football. And Indiana takes on Old Dominion. And this one, and by the way, the Purdue-Ball State game is a BTN 11 o'clock start. I guess they must be spreading the games by region in that 11 o'clock game. So we mentioned that there was another 11 o'clock game coming up as well. But ODU and Indiana, and again, a year ago, nobody would have thought we would have been talking about Indiana being a playoff team by the end of that year.
Well, when we went through our top 7 teams in the Big Ten for 2025, Indiana was among them. And this is an expanded league of 18 teams, yet here they are. And one thing we should mention for our listeners is that Indiana, prior to becoming a state, was associated with bison. And so now for the first time in 50 years, Indiana was the only Big Ten team that never had a mascot. They do now. It's a bison. So I'm going to be looking to see. They got them running around in a bison costume, I guess. So if you hear somebody referring to the bison, you should know that's Indiana's new mascot.
Well, they better win, or else the bison will be short for the sidelines.
Yeah, the bison's going to go the way of the buffalo, right?
Michigan and New Mexico. And Michigan, again, they, I think, may have gotten off the hook pretty easily for all the sign stealing controversy. But let's talk about on the field, Michigan and the Lobos of New Mexico. Mike, what's your take on Michigan going into 2025?
Well, Michigan refused to release their depth chart for this game. I'm sure that they're very worried about what that could do in this game.
37.5 point favorite, Saul.
Yeah, a good place for Michigan to start. And Chad, I'm going to go back to Connor Stallion and what happened there. Certainly the death penalty was never on the table. And I did not think a post-game ban was. But I certainly thought there would be vacated wins, along with the monetary fining. So I was more than surprised when there was nothing related to what had happened on the field, given the fact that this was so related to what was happening on the actual field. Yeah, I'm not sure what the logic was in that, but given the fact that I've seen Notre Dame lose games, I've seen Alabama lose games, not forfeits, but vacated, the wins simply no longer count. I was shocked that did not occur. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly was.
Well, the NCAA's got a $4 billion lawsuit. They're going to have to start fining people.
The game of the day coming up at 11 a.m. on Fox, Texas and Ohio State. You talk about, you jump into the deep end of the pool. The Arch Manning true era underway in Austin. Ohio State, after, you talk about a turnaround from the depths of losing to Michigan to the heights of winning a national championship. But now it's 2025. What about this matchup today?
Well, how about this? Texas is 6-0 in the last 6 openers. Ohio State is 24-0. They haven't lost a game for about a quarter century to open a season. It's an interesting game because so many of the guys who are critical are gone. The Bucs put 15 guys or 14 guys into the NFL. They had the best running back tandem, with Juggins and Henderson. Their quarterback is gone. A great receiver in Abuka is gone. They lost several key components on defense, and yet they replaced them with such great talent. It's just not experienced, and these guys, for all we know, may be better. We just don't know their names yet because they haven't really been out on the field to where you're going to get a better sense of them.
Mike, any thoughts on this massive matchup, a rematch of the semifinal that could have gone either way back in January?
Yeah, this should be a good game. I think that the kid Ohio State's going to run out at quarterback is going to be a good player, but this is a brutal defense to open your career with. I think Texas probably has, if not the most, certainly one of the most talented defenses in college football. That is going to be tough sledding.
Another school that has national championship hopes, team that came up short as well in the semifinals last January. Penn State, they'll be in Happy Valley hosting Nevada. CBS at 2:30. 46.5 point favorites are the Nittany Lions. Is this the year that James Franklin gets over that hump? And I think it's a little silly. A guy that's been as successful as he has been. I mean, you had a game that could have gone either way in the semifinal.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, somehow that is, for some people, a failure. I completely disagree with that thought process.
You know, he's a guy who is probably the most successful and yet criticized guy in all of college football. And I'm with you in that sense. He does say some things sometimes that are like Roberto Clementi's arm. You know, the ball's in the corner in right field, and then it suddenly appears at third base. So Franklin sometimes has a way of saying things that are controversial. But on the field, they have been as good as anybody. They've just struggled against Michigan and Ohio State. And then, of course, the response is, who hasn't?
And also, I think one factor is, that he got some of the early big money. They're paying their coordinators huge money as well. So I guess there's that pressure when you buy the best, you're expected to be the best. And Mike, do you think what about Penn State? Are they ready to take that next step, or are they going to stay in that same area just below the top of the mountain?
I mean, if not now, when? You have a senior quarterback who has a lot of tools. You have 2 All-American running backs on your roster, good defense. If he can't do it now, I don't think he'll ever do it.
And then finally, the final Big Ten game of this very busy week. It's nice when they get to conference because then they're playing each other. You don't have to go through all this long list.
Yes.
You have Maryland at home against Florida Atlantic. And I think we touched a little bit last week about Mike Loxley, who had done a really nice job of building up Maryland, but then they took a step back last year.
Yeah, they did. They were, I want to say 5-7 a year ago, but the 3 previous years, 7-6, 8-5, 8-5. And Chad, they won all 3 of those bowl games. Loxley is a guy that you kind of cheer for. He was at New Mexico, and it was beyond a disaster what happened out there. There were all kinds of things that I really want to get into here, but it was a mess. Then he went to St. Nick. St. Nick resurrected him, and then he was able to find a way back and has done if not a excellent job, he's done a solid job at Maryland, and he recruits really well. But you and I have been yelling about he needs to recruit on the O&D line more because they certainly can play in space.
And also, I think Maryland is, could you go into a fantasy world here that they stayed in the ACC? It just seems as though that would have been so much better for Mike Loxley, for a Maryland football program, that they would have been very competitive in the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's just hard. This 18-team super Big Ten conference, you have maybe 5 teams at the top, 6 teams at the top that people think are successful, and then everybody else says, why aren't you better? I mean, that's one of the challenges of being in this massive conference, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the biggest critic when they left was Krzyzewski. He really thought that Maryland belonged in the ACC.
They do.
That they had a great basketball program. The ACC was, very much a basketball conference in those years, and even into the present. So, yeah, I think it is about, in the end, the money.
Of course. it
And,
is.
you know, and you got to remember, these are the presidents making these decisions.
Right.
And Maryland is a member of the AAU, which is the Association of American Universities, and they are looking at research, because the real money in college, or the real money at the university level, is not really athletics, it's research. And so Maryland saw an opportunity to get into the Big Ten Conference, which just about all of them. That said, so is the ACC. The ACC has excellent schools that are members as well.
I will say, as a final thought before we take a timeout, is that to say that there's not real money in athletics may have been true a few years back, but nowadays for the Big Ten,
well,
there's Tony Petiti, my least favorite person in Big Ten athletics, would disagree with you significantly.
No, I didn't.
I know what you're
It's
saying.
$1 billion to $9 billion.
I know. You talked about that. We broke it down last season. I'm sure we'll talk about it again later in the season as well.
But you're right. There is money in athletics.
We're going to take a timeout and then come back with hour number 2 of the show. And so it'll be our first big 10-game challenge.
Hey, we've got a guest today, Jerry Gruno, who's going to be talking about Krishock Jewelers. And not only is Jerry going to be doing that, but Jerry is a guy that helps us on Sully's college football page.
There you
so
go.
he's going to bring another level of expertise.
So we'll have that coming up next here on Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Antigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
It is hour number 2 of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. I am Chad Holmes, along with Mike Sullivan, Dan Sullivan, and now we're just full here in this studio.
We are today. We got a lot of talent running around here today.
The first 10-game challenge of the season. And are you going to keep track this year? Because I think we got to keep track of how you do against your guest.
Well,
you're the man Sully's College Football Page. You should never lose.
Well, my feeling on that is I will keep track of it as long as I'm doing well.
There you go. And so introduce our first challenger.
Yeah, we've got Jerry Gruno with us today. And Jerry's wife, Sue, has worked at Creeshock Jewelers for many, many years. And so Creeshock Jewelers asked if it would be okay if Jerry represented them from our perspective. And we certainly were glad to have him. And so Jerry is here with that intent. And then he's a guy that helps us on Sully's College Football Page. Last year, Grun and I met every Friday and went over the show and talked about things. And I'd get 4 or 5 insights from him that I would then adjust and put into the show. So glad to have him. And Jerry, welcome, man.
Thanks, all. Just want to say thank you for having me here. Jim Creeshock Jewelers has been a part of my life. Now, my wife's worked there for 43 years, and so they're like a second family. And Larry's out spending time with his new granddaughter, so I got elected.
Well,
that was a good vote for them.
Terrific. And we'll talk more about Jim Creeshock Jewelers here in a couple of minutes. But let's jump in and get obviously you have the expertise if Sully's bringing you in on Fridays to be the challenger here for the first edition of the 10-game challenge. And let's start off with a lot of orange. Tennessee and Syracuse. Tennessee Volunteers, Syracuse Orange. We start with Jerry.
Oh, guess first.
Oh, wait. It's been a while. But what do you think here about this orange matchup?
I'm going Tennessee all the way. They lost their quarterback.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But they have a very, very good team. And I think they're a top 25. And I think they're going to do very well this year.
And I'm with Grun in that the quarterback is gone. Tennessee is very good defensively. Syracuse, Fran Brown, the coach there, had a great year a year ago. And, of course, the Notre Dame guy is there, Angeli, who played big in small-time moments for Notre Dame. But I'm with Grun. I think Tennessee is just too good for them defensively and is going to find a way in this game. Tennessee gets this done.
Oregon and Montana State. And I'm wondering if either one of you gentlemen will have the courage to pick against the Ducks. But as we talked about earlier, Montana State does not lose very often. This time we'll start with Sul.
Yeah, and I'm going to come across as an outright coward on what you just said. I think Oregon has too much speed for them. Play the game a quarter second quicker than what you would see typically on the FCS. That said, this is a really good team, and in many of the FCS opponents that Montana State would take on, they would not only win, they would be favored going in. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be one of those upset deals. But Oregon, too much speed, too much talent. Oregon gets this done.
Jerry, what about you? Are you going to step out on that plank?
I can't do it. I'm going to go with Sul. Oregon just has too much for them. You kind of in your heart root for Montana State, always for the underdog, but too much Oregon, too much speed.
Too much Nike money. The third game of the 10, the game that Sul is saying, Northwestern, what are you doing? Going to New Orleans, taking on Tulane, but it is Northwestern and Tulane. And Jerry, we'll start with you.
Tulane, the big green wave. I just think that I don't know why Northwestern scheduled the game. I'm with Saul on that. That it's a trap. Tulane all the way.
And I'm gonna sidestep here. I'm gonna say that Northwestern has been hearing guys like me babbling about this forever, and I think they're gonna circle the wagons and say, "Hey, we're the ones in the Big Ten. We're the ones that have to play the Ohio States and the Oregons and the Michigans, not these guys."
Right.
They played Mississippi a couple of years ago, and I remember after the game, 4 or 5 of the players from Mississippi were saying, "Where's that green wave? Where's that wave at?" They were trying to getting at him. So I'm going to say David Brom and the Cats get what would, for all intent and purposes, amount to an upset. So I'm going Northwestern.
How about that? I tell you, all that bashing earlier, and then you come back and jump firmly on that Northwestern bandwagon. So that's the first difference between you guys in the first 3 games. Next game, again, I think the fun non-conference games in the former conference opponents, but still, I think I like it when you have a couple of power conferences getting together, and you got UCLA and Utah. As we talked about, UCLA. I think showed some signs of life late in the season. Utah has been right there for a number of years now. This game being played at the Rose Bowl, and this time we'll start with Sully.
I have always been a Kyle Whittingham.
Yes, you have.
Fan. I just like that guy. And a year ago, I kind of lost my mind though with what went on there with that quarterback. He was going to play this week. No, he can't. He's going to play this time. That went on for about 8 weeks. And I really thought it interrupted the flow of that team kind of getting squared away. So I think Utah is coming out to make a statement. UCLA played well down the stretch, but I like Utah in this game. I think Whittingham gets this done.
And Jerry, what about you?
I'm going Utah.
Real fast. I'm surprised because you're wearing the blue. I thought you were going to go UCLA because of the blue, but no.
I don't know. It's like last year. You didn't know what UCLA would bring to the game. And Utah's always been steady with me. And I think they're going to continue that way.
The 5th game, a very interesting game. A lot of people are going to be keeping a close eye on Bill Belichick moving back to the college game after so many years in the NFL. They will open up against Texas Christian, and that's not an easy way to start for the legend. UNC and TCU. Jerry, we're going to let you go first.
And I don't know much about either team, but I'm going to go with Belichick. I mean, he took the job for a reason. He's done a good job with his coaching staff and getting players. I think they're going to do it today.
And I'm going to separate here from Grun on this one. I'm going to go with TCU. I think Sonny Dykes is one of the few guys in college football that's going to look across the field and see, Moses or Noah, whoever, biblical figure you want to talk about, and not really care. And I think at this point, if Belichick sticks around, and he's able to recruit, so we're going to have to get him some good assistants who are good in the living room. But if he gets the players the next couple of years, then it's a different story. But from what he inherited, Grun, I think I'm going to go with TCU in this game.
Well, the whole thing about it as well is nowadays, if this had happened in the past, it would take years, but now it doesn't take years. You can flip it around pretty quickly with the NIL and the transfer
portal
rules.
Yes.
Yep. So that's 5 of the 10. And again, we have Jerry Gruno representing Jim Kreshock Jewelers here on the 10-game challenge. And Jerry, again, a little bit more about, you said it, been such a big part of your life with Jim Kreshock Jewelers.
Well, they are family. And one thing I wanted to touch on that I've noticed is their community involvement from Festival of the Trees, Boys and Girls Club. They support so many good things in this area. Wassa Newman with the Winter Wonderland.
Yeah.
They just have a lot of good things going on outside the store that they do for this community.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and my experience whenever Polly and I have been in the shopping business, Kreshock's is the first place we think of, and it's where we've gone every time, and couldn't have been happier with the service. You go in there, the people are always really friendly and attentive to your needs. So I'm with Gruen on it. You do get a sense of family.
You talk about family, and that nice segue into our next game. It is the Beamer Bowl. As Virginia Tech and South Carolina. Of course, Frank Beamer did so much to make Virginia Tech into a powerhouse, and now his son has done a nice job at South Carolina. So Virginia Tech and South Carolina, Sully.
Yeah, their quarterback, South Carolina, Lenore. What's his last name, Mike? Sellers. He is 6'4", 245, and Florida's got a kid, DJ Ladway, who's 6'4", 241. Those guys are like the Bruise brothers. So in this game, I do like South Carolina against Virginia Tech. I think Beamer's going to go in there, and the ghost of his father is not going to be happy at the end of the day.
Jerry, what about you?
I think South Carolina. I looked at this game as a very interesting game, Virginia Tech and South Carolina, but I think South Carolina will come out on top in this one.
We have 4 games left, and they all involve, I would call, college football traditional powers getting together, and 4 very interesting games. And first up, Miami and Notre Dame. And you go back to the 1980s with some of the massive matchups, and it's been a rivalry for a lot of years. You got Miami trying to return to where they were. Notre Dame did get back to power last year, making it all the way to the national championship game. But we're not going to let Mr. Notre Dame wait a few moments. And Jerry, what about you? Who do you think that's going to win this one?
Well, he already knows which way I'm going. So I'm going Notre Dame. They just have too much offense, defense, coaching. I think this is going to be their year. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, Notre Dame is going to be able to run the ball against them. I mean, people think they won't be able to. They will. And last year, Miami's secondary was really weak. And so they went out, Chad, they got 5 new guys that are 3 or better stars in, that have played. But it's too early, and so I think, for them to really have gelled, if it was the 3rd or 4th game and they're playing at a little higher level, a little more communicative with one another back there. But Notre Dame is going to be able to power the ball at them. And then they're going to, as they start to cheat up, Notre Dame is going to hurt them. So I'm with Gruen on this one. Notre Dame finds a way and gets this done. And, you hear of Catholics versus convicts. And, in Iowa, it was felons versus farmers. And I always thought that was more clever than the other. But anyway, Miami is, over the years, has really been fun to watch.
Clemson and LSU. And this has been a tough week for LSU in terms of previously, because they come in with these high expectations and they seem to play tough competition. Last year was USC in Vegas and they lost a tight one. But both these teams always have big hopes to start off the year. And again, it's just one of those situations where somebody's going to get a nice launching pad. The other's going to have to dig out of a hole. Who's going to be the team to have the launching pad to start off in week number 1? So
I think Clemson is going to win this game. When you look at how they are presenting themselves, when they've won a great quarterback, they've got a really good quarterback. For the first time in a while, they've got good receivers. I mean, quality receivers. Their O-line is one of the better in the country. They're going to be able to come at LSU any number of ways. LSU, shockingly, has lost 5 straight openers. Kelly, 3. Although, with Klubnik, there's a lot of talk about him being the best quarterback in the nation. I don't think he's the best quarterback in this game. I think Nussmeier is, but we'll see. So LSU is capable, but I think Clemson is better.
Jerry?
Man, I'm going Clemson also. It just, I don't like Kelly for starters.
That's scientific, Gruen.
Yeah. But I think Clemson with the home field, I think it's going to be a very close game. But being home, I think Clemson's going to do it.
Florida State and Alabama. This Florida State bounced back from a disaster of last year, and Alabama and Caden DeBoer trying to reestablish themselves as the superpower that they were under Saban. Jerry, you're first this time.
Alabama all the way. I have faith in that coach. I think he's got things where he wants them now. It's kind of rough your first year. Second year, they're going to do okay, and I think they're going to win this one big.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about DeBoer, and not enough talk about how good Alabama is. They are really have turned the corner. I've got one of the best receivers in the country. Quarterback is going to be a guy who's going to, he's one of those guys that has hung around, and now it's his chance. And so he's going to be a little bit like Danny Jones. He's going to go out there and get this done. So I think Alabama wins this game and wins handily. I don't think this game is close.
And then finally, the big one today that so many people are keeping an eye on, Ohio State and Texas. Early marking point in the college football season. And Sul, you're up first.
Okay, this game to me is one that you can go back and forth on all day long. Ohio State's at home, so that gives them a slight edge. But 14 kids on that team from a year ago are in the NFL, so that gives Texas. And, Michael has said many times that Texas is defense. And, there's an old adage in coaching, defense travels, and they've been in enough big games, Chad, that I don't think that crowd's going to mess with them. I'm going to say Texas goes into the shoe like they did a year ago in the Big House and beat the Big Ten team.
Jerry, what's your final pick?
I think that Archie Manning's going to have a very good game today. He sat for the last two. He's ready to go. And I think Texas will win in a very, very close one.
Very, very interesting indeed. And Jerry, I think you made a good point here. I think he set a good bar here for the 10-game challenge.
He helps me every Friday. So nothing new about that.
And Jerry, again, representing Jim Krishock Jewelers, again, really appreciate your time. And I hope you beat Sully.
So do I. Bragging right.
There you go. Jerry Gruno here with the 10 Games Challenge. We'll take a time out, and we have a lot of rankings to get through starting next here on Sully's College Football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
Kemp Service Center was established in 1951 and to this day is still family owned. That's 70 years of serving the Wausau area with the best in auto and truck repair. Kemp's certified mechanics service all makes and models, including imports. Don't wait to the last minute to get your oil changed. Kemp's can get the job done in no time. Kemp's Service Center is open Monday through Saturday at the corner of North 6th Street and East Wausau Avenue in Wausau.
You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com.
It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau, unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO with Mike Sullivan, Dan Sullivan. I'm Chad Holmes. And again, thanks to Jerry Gruno for joining us for the 10-game challenge. And one of the aspects of the website is rankings. You have a rankings page talking about the FCS. You talk about the group of 5 and the Power 4. And again, if you want to really delve deep into it, so go to the website.
Yeah, and we decided about 10 years ago that lumping, the FBS all together, since when the College Football Playoff Committee came into play, it was obvious that the Power 4 or the time Power 5 was at a much different level than teams that were lumped into the group of 5. So, Chad, we decided to rank them separately. And it's been a good thing for us. It allows us to talk about some very good teams that otherwise wouldn't get mentioned. So it's worked out for everybody as far as we're concerned.
Absolutely. We'll talk about the Power 4 coming up in just a little bit. But let's start with the group of 5. And we'll talk about the top 10. You can check out the entire top 20 by going to Sully's College Football Page.com and get real deep into these rankings. But number 10, the Air Force Academy. And Air Force, again, it's a program that 2 years ago was on top of the world, having a great start. Then things kind of went sideways, and it continued into last year. But you think they're going to be back this year?
I do. I think that they'll play much better. Troy Calhoun has been there for 2 decades or so now, an excellent coach, and look for him to reestablish what happened a couple of years ago. And if you remember, Chad, they were like 9-0.
Yeah,
and then they just they lost 3 in a row, and then they were able to rebound, during the bowl game. But it was a bizarre ending. And in fact, Air Force was being talked about as the group of 5 representative on New Year's Day.
Yep. Number 9, Texas San Antonio. And by the way, Air Force plays Bucknell here today. But UTSA, they get a great opportunity. They take on Texas A&M.
Yeah, and this is a game where people are going to think, come say, A&M's. No, Texas San Antonio is a good club. And the thing about them is they're from Texas. And so, they're going to know all those kids at A&M. They probably have played against each other. So while A&M gets this done, I think the game is going to be closer than people may recognize.
Number 8, Connecticut. Jim Mora Jr. doing a nice job in stores without having all that pressure, because that's a basketball school in recent years. But UConn has done a nice job of rebuilding that program, haven't they?
Yeah, Jim Mora is a very good coach. Mike remembers him from his days at UCLA, which he was involved in some things that didn't put him in the best light. But nonetheless, done a very good job at UConn. And, there you see him ranked, where a few years ago, Chad, they were kind of, not very well thought of either, or on the field.
They have a interstate battle against Central Connecticut coming up. The Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana is number 7 in your G5 rankings, getting set to take on Rice.
Yeah. A good team. This is where Billy Napier is from.
Yeah,
the current Florida coach did great work there. They kind of bounced back a season a year ago, won 2 games. And so Louisiana will make some noise. They play in the Sun Belt. It's one of the only conferences that still has divisions in the FBS.
Ohio, who gave Rutgers a big battle in New Jersey, falling 34-31, but Ohio University from the MAC, number 6.
Yeah, and we haven't adjusted anything yet.
Right.
Because it was week 0 and then week 1. So we thought we'll get through this whole thing and then we'll go from there. Played well, in their loss to Rutgers, and had their chances late. Very good team in the MAC.
Navy coming off a terrific season a year ago. Beat Oklahoma to wrap things up.
Yes.
They're number 5 in your rankings.
Yeah, and how about them beating Army? Nobody gave them much of a
That's right.
shot in that, but they found a way and got it done. And speaking of Army was the only FBS team thus far to lose to an FCS team. They got beat last night by Tuttleton, a team out of Texas.
That is not a good way to start off your season.
No, they were not happy campers.
Number 4, Tulane. And we've talked a lot about Tulane already in this show, but off to, you got them highly ranked here to start things off.
I like them, and I'm going out on a limb picking Northwestern, but I'm just thinking Northwestern has heard enough about this from guys like me. And so it'll be interesting, but this is a very good team, quite capable of winning the American.
The school that's been begging and begging and begging somebody in the major power conferences to take them away from all this G5 stuff, but they're still in the G5, and it's Memphis, and you have them number 3.
Yeah, Memphis will probably win the MAC. Silverfield is the coach there, has been there a number of years. And, Memphis, they are capable of lining up and playing with anyone. And I think therein lies their drive to be part of the Power Four.
You said the MAC. It's actually the American, right? For Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
just make sure, because you don't want the MAC to be shortchanged. You got those guys like Micklig out there listening for the MAC stuff, so got to make sure that we get them.
I knew there was something about Mick I didn't like, and thanks for clarifying.
And speaking of the MAC, we have the Rockets of Toledo as number 2 in your G5 rankings. And they have Kentucky, so a chance on the road.
And I did that to placate Mick.
Mick or
so
Mac.
we got a MAC team up there for Mick. But this is a really good team. I know a lot of the people that are on the site from down south, they don't even know who these guys are. And they really were opposed to them being in front of Memphis. But this is a good team, Chad. And like we've always said, they can run.
And enjoy the number 1 ranked team, because next week, I think when we talk about these rankings, they will not be the number 1 ranked team, Boise State, who got whooped by South Florida.
That was, Mike and I watched that game, and we were like, like the Exorcist. Our heads were spinning around. Couldn't believe it. You kept waiting for Spencer Danielson to work his magic. He's done great work there. They just couldn't deal with them. I mean, Florida State, I always want to say Florida State. South Florida, yes. They just overwhelmed them.
And Michael, we went through the top 10. Anything that jumps out to you in that top 10 rankings for the group of 5?
Just how stunning that Boise State loss was. If you would have told me the score was 34-7 before the game happened, I'd be like, oh, Boise took care of business. And wouldn't have been surprised.
Who's your new number 1?
Personally,
yeah, because this is unofficial. We'll wait for the official Sully rankings to come out. But for you, who would be number 1 next week in the group of 5?
I think Tulane.
Okay.
We'll see how they play.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Tulane, that's a good thought, Mike, because they are playing a Big Ten team. So if they go out and take care of business like they very well may, better opponent than the teams in front of them are going to see.
Coming up, we're going to talk about the Power Four. Where do these teams rank according to Sully's college football page to begin the season? So we will talk about that coming up next here on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASE certified mechanics, stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646. The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Menzner Hardwoods Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Menzner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at menznerhardwoods.com. Menzner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office. The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka & Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Packer golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Michael Sullivan and Dan Sullivan, I'm Chad Holmes. And it's time now for the Power 4 rankings, the top 25 teams, not according to the AP, not according to the coaches, but according to Sully's college football page. And again, go to sullyscollegefootballpage.com to check out all the rankings from college football Power 5 group, Power 4 group of 5 FCS as well. Let's start at the bottom 3 schools. And again, you talk about the bottom 3 schools, they're powerful schools, powerful football traditions. Number 25, you have Texas A&M. As we mentioned, they have UTSA coming up. Number 24, Sully's man Billy Napier in Florida, who are getting set for Long Island University. And then you got Louisville at number 23, getting set for Eastern Kentucky. So what do you think?
3 great coaches. You know, whether you're talking Jeff Brom or Billy Napier or Mike Elko, all those guys, Chad, are really excellent coaches. And, you know, you're going to see potential movement here. Florida certainly has the schedule that if they win and win at a high level, they're moving up. Louisville's in the ACC, so there's a couple games that they really need to get done. Miami, Texas, SMU rather, from Texas, and then of course Clemson. So Louisville's got less of a chance to advance than the other 2, and because of the competition, is going to be more narrowly focused.
And Mike, any thoughts on those 3 schools? Anybody that maybe you think has that potential of moving on up, or maybe a team that's maybe overranked?
I think Florida has the potential to move up if DJ Lagway stays healthy. He's got a ceiling of first overall pick.
Number 22 is Mississippi. Lane Kiffin has really made some noise since going to Oxford. They are taking on Georgia State. Then you have Kansas State, who lost to Iowa State in their season opener. Kansas State number 21, and then USC is number 20. So you got the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10 all represented in those three teams.
Well, Kansas State has got its back against the wall a little bit here with that loss to Iowa State. So, you're not sure if two losses would get you into that championship game, maybe because of the balance of that league. SC last year, Chad, lost 5 games by single digits. And, Mike and I have talked. We watched the Notre Dame game together, and that game was closer than the score indicated. The 99-yard pick 6 and then 105-yard pick 6 when they were going to tie it or get it to one score. So I think SC is quite capable. And Kiffin, he's like Peck's bad boy. You never know exactly what that guy's going to do.
And Mike, what about your thoughts on those three schools?
I think that SC will have a chance to move up or down. I'm not really sure what to expect from them because they have a tough schedule. I know they've dipped into the portal a bit to address their line. If that works, could be in for a good season.
Absolutely. Then as we continue to move on up now into the top 20, top 19, in fact, at number 19, the Michigan Wolverines. Again, they were interesting last year. They had some big downs. They had some big ups with the wins against Ohio State and Alabama. Michigan, as we said earlier, will be hosting New Mexico. You have Baylor. Number 18 in the country with Dave Aranda. And then Oklahoma. And boy, again, I think one of the teams are very interesting this year is Oklahoma. A lot of pressure on Brent Venables, but again, SEC, which is never easy. So Michigan, Baylor, and Oklahoma, 19 through 17.
Yeah, and we've got Oklahoma maybe ranked too low. A lot of people really like them, think they have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Mateer came from Washington State, should be doing a good job for them there. And they're quite capable. Baylor lost to Auburn, a team that we did not rank. They got beat last night in a very competitive game. But I'll tell you, Mike and I were both impressed with Baylor. Hugh Freeze may be making some noise this year. And of course, if I'm thinking right, Gus Malzahn is there as well. Is that correct, Mike? Or is he at Florida?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's at Auburn, and I think they went to him. No, I don't. Now I'm saying that I think Florida. We'll check. But anyway, some interesting things. And then the thing about Michigan, a bad year by their standards, and yet last year they were able to beat Alabama, Ohio State, and SC, and in fact, no one in the history of college football had ever done that.
Then you have Iowa State off their big win against Kansas State at number 16. Miami will have the potential to move up if they're able to take care of business against Notre Dame. They're number 15, and then South Carolina, number 14. Again, got Big 12, ACC, and SEC, and 16, 15, and 14.
Yeah, I think Miami, we're gonna find out something about them on Monday.
Yeah.
A lot of people think and are favoring them to win this game, or picking them, I should say. The boys and girls in the desert have Notre Dame, I think, at 2.5. But any of those teams, Iowa State's off to a good start, with that win over Kansas State. And yet the Big 12, there's probably 6 teams in there that are, in the mix to win it.
And Mike, what about you? Any thoughts on those 3 teams?
I think that Miami, very similar to SC, really dipped into the portal specifically to try to fix their defense. We'll see how that works. A&M did that last year, and they got better, but they were just good, not great. If Miami can find a way to get to good, they can beat Notre Dame tomorrow and make the playoffs.
13, 12, and 11 are all schools who were great stories in 2024, and we'll see if they're great stories in 2025. You have SMU. They made it to the playoff before losing to Penn State. They're number 13. You have number 12, Indiana. Of course, they were one of the great stories, how they rolled through the Big Ten and got to the playoff before falling to Notre Dame. They're number 12. And then Arizona State, number 11, got to the playoff. Boy, for much of the game, it felt like they were going to get the win against Texas, but lost in heartbreaking fashion in double overtime. And ASU is number 11. Again, 3 great stories from a year ago, and you got them all in the top 13 here to start off the new season.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Arizona State, they got into the playoffs losing a game. They were in the championship game against Clemson, and they were getting smacked. And then they, in the third quarter, somewhere in there, they started to fight back, and they got that game down to a single score. And I think the committee was so impressed with how well they had played down the stretch that they moved them into the tournament.
You're talking SMU.
Oh, am I crossing over? Yes, I am. So now I'm going to have to go back, and I'm going to rephrase because Arizona State, as I am now recalling correctly, smashed Iowa State. They beat them by about 20.
Yep.
And so I'm going to shut up now and let Mike talk for a minute.
I'm interested to see how Indiana plays. They got Mendoza, the transfer from Cal, who a lot of people feel has NFL tools, 6'5", huge arm. Indiana could be good again.
We are now to the top 10, and we will have the top 10 in the Sully's College Football Page Power 4 rankings coming up after we take our final timeout. It is almost time. We're about 15 minutes away from kickoff, and we will wrap things up coming up next here on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street.
The Central Wisconsin School of Ballet is celebrating over 52 years of dance instruction. They offer classes in ballet, jazz, contemporary, modern, tap, and musical theater for ages 2 to 99. And did you know that ballet is used by college football teams as a conditioning and cross-training program? Stop in for a trial class, call for a brochure, or email your questions to the studio.
North End Pub, cold beer, clever conversation, all stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. Join us every weekend on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. taking you right up to kickoff as the action usually begins at 11 a.m. And that's the case here this week with the big one between Texas and Ohio State kicking off in about 15 minutes or so. But let's talk about the top 10 in the Power 4 rankings, according to Sully's college football page. Number 10, Illinois. And they got off to a good start with that 52-3 win over Western Illinois.
Yeah, and Chad, I have to mention, we just got a call from Gus Malzahn, and Gus told us that he is at Florida State.
Well.
And, you know, I think the reason I was focused on the SEC was because one of the things that I read was Florida State, you know, with the game with Alabama, we're happy to have him because he was one of the guys that would beat Alabama. I think at 1.7 games, he had won 3 times. So he was just under that 500 mark. But anyway, Gus, he's a Seminole. All right, so Illinois, I'm going to tell you right now, Chad, people down south think we got them way too high. I hear from South Carolina folks, and no, they don't like them there. They're probably still angry that Illinois beat them in the bowl game from a year ago. But nonetheless, 19 starters back, according to Phil Steele. This team can make some noise, and we'll see, you know, as the schedule gets rolling and they, you know, the Leathernecks from Western Illinois are not a real challenge.
Number 9, Alabama, and pretty low for Alabama to start a season off in recent years. But Mike, it sounds like you guys both feel pretty good about Alabama going into this season.
I think Alabama's got a first-time starter at quarterback, but he's been in their program for 4 years, so he should be experienced, know the offense well, and they've got a lot of talents, including probably the second best receiver in college football, and Ryan Williams. They're still Alabama.
And Saul?
Yeah, well, you know, and you know, DeBoer was able to get his right-hand man back, Ryan Grubb.
Yeah.
And so the guy that was there with him when he was having all the excess at his earlier stops is now back in Tuscaloosa. So I think he's feeling better about team meetings and what's going to be communicated. So they're going to make some noise this fall.
Well, get ready to hear all sorts of wonderful things about the number 8 team, because I know you guys love LSU and their head coach, but you got number 8 LSU. And which one of you guys want to pile on Kelly first?
Mike will do the job there better than I can.
Well, I mean, I want to hear that Southern accent again. I think that LSU has probably got the most physically gifted quarterback in college football. I think Nussmeier has elite tools, and he can win that conference for LSU if they reach their potential. They have a very talented team. We'll learn a lot about them today.
You know, and the thing I'd mention about Kelly is this year he's under pressure, even though he's
on the hot seat, literally.
Yeah, well, you know, and he's been pretty good, but not to their standards. And so what he did, Chad, he went out and he got 19 players in the portal. 13 of them are 4-stars. So he brought in a ton of talent. It might be a little early playing against, you know, Clemson, who has kind of the opposite perspective and plan. They develop their players, and they basically are a high school recruiting program. So maybe a little early to see the talent he's assembled, but they should make some noise, and I'm with Mike. If they grow, they're capable.
Let's be clear. Brian Kelly's a good football coach. I'm a little perplexed that he hasn't been more successful at LSU. I think it's coming.
Number 7 is Clemson, who LSU plays in week number 1. It wasn't that long ago there was all this talk about Dabo Swinney being behind the times, and Clemson was going in the wrong direction, but he's stabilized things rather quickly, hasn't he?
You aren't suggesting that social media is fickle, are you?
Oh, a little bit.
I mean, they're Luke Incorporated. Look at they are quite capable. They've got the quarterback. Their offensive line is all back. Their D line is like the old days. They're going to be able to stop the run. Their linebacker, I mean, they're good everywhere. So this Clemson team is quite capable of running the ACC and then, getting in the playoff and making some hay.
Number 6, Oregon. And just sort of hanging around all the talk about the other Big Ten teams above them. What is the 2025 outlook for this Oregon team? Number 6, obviously very, very high, but are they capable of moving up with the teams like Ohio State and Penn State?
I think it really depends on how Dante Moore plays for them. He's a former 5-star. He's got some elite tools. Excellent athletes. If he plays well at the quarterback position for Oregon, and I think he will, they'll be very good again.
Yeah, when you think Oregon, you think of speed, and they always seem to have speed. And a year ago, who did not think that they were dealt from the bottom of the deck when they go undefeated and their first game in the playoffs is against Ohio State? I'm glad the committee adjusted that. They will no longer be seeding and giving conference championships those automatic buys. Automatic berth, 100%. But to seat them 1 through 4, it really just lacked common sense.
Number 5, Georgia. And Georgia had been at such a high level. I mean, just, national championship level. Last season, it was a little bit more of a struggle. They did, of course, get to the playoff. They lost to Notre Dame, but it was not quite the same Georgia team. Are they going to be closer to what they were last year or closer to what they were when they were winning national championships?
Well, a couple of thoughts. One, I'm always, and I like Kirby. I think he presents himself in a very positive light. And yet when he's talking about, it's tougher on him now because he doesn't have the same depth. Come on, man. You're in the real world now. And the other thing, and this has got nothing to do with Kirby, it's got to do with the news media. You hear them constantly say that they are the new Alabama. That would be, no, they ain't. The last 10 times that Georgia has played Alabama, they've won once. Alabama has beat them 9 out of 10. So I don't know how you can lose 9 of 10 and have replaced the team that beat you the 9. So great program, just done a great job, and they'll be better this year. I'm anxious to see Stockton. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, I think that on the outside, people kind of rose their eyebrows when Carson Beck transferred out of Georgia. I don't know that Georgia fought that too hard, though, because Stockton has got a gamer in him. He's a good player.
Yeah, Chad, one other quick thing here. Their O-line struggled last year, and Georgia led the country in dropped passes.
Number 4, Notre Dame, and I think you guys follow them pretty tightly. What about Notre Dame here at this point of the start of the season?
I'll let Mike lead the way here.
Well, it really depends on what has come up already for a number of other teams, is how does CJ Carr play at the quarterback position? Because Notre Dame is loaded pretty much everywhere else on their roster. So if he plays effectively, they may be able to take the next step and get it done in the playoffs.
So, any thoughts?
No, just I'm with Michael. Freeman has changed the nature of that roster. There is speed everywhere. And, that was always the thing about Notre Dame, especially on D, that they couldn't run with them. They sure can now. They're elite in just about every way imaginable. It's really going to depend on how Carr plays.
Number 3, the defending national champions, Ohio State. And, of course, they will have the big opportunity to impress in mere moments when they take on Texas. But Ohio State, where do they? I mean, it was such a story at the end of last season. Ryan Day was the most hated man, and then he was able to redeem himself with the title.
He's the savior. Look, they still have Caleb Downs, who many people think is the best college football defensive player, and Jeremiah Smith, many think is the best offensive player in the country. 5-star quarterback. Talent everywhere. We just don't know the names. They're not household names yet, but they're a threat to win it again.
Agreed. They are absolutely loaded, and Jeremiah Smith, I think most people would agree, is the best player in the country.
Number 2, Texas, and of course, there's so much talk about Arch Manning, but there's more than Arch there. It's a incredibly talented team, isn't it?
absolutely loaded on defense. I think the best defense in college football, and they've got tools on the outside too. And Ryan Wingo, he's a good player.
Yeah, all you got to do is look at the way they recruit and where they're ranked and where their roster is. And now they may have a generational quarterback in man.
Is he a step up from Quinn Ewers?
Talent-wise, I absolutely. Whether or not, from the experiential standpoint, he's going to be playing from the get-go at a level above is we're going to have to wait and see.
Number 1, Penn State. Why Penn State number 1?
I'm going to start with this one. First of all, it was a protest for all the criticism that Aller gets. That kid can play. He made a decision to throw the ball across his body and maybe a tad late in that Notre Dame game. Where were the coaches? Why didn't they tell him, hey, we're not in an advantageous position. We're going to go to overtime. We're going to win this game in OT, so no mistakes. Let's just take it that far. Take the game into OT.
Real quick, Mike, do you agree that Penn State's number 1?
No, I don't. I think that they're good, but I have questions on Aller that I think the old man doesn't.
And I guess we have 50 seconds to go. Coming up here in moments, Texas and Ohio State. What's the score going to be, guys? Each of you. What's your pick?
I am going to say Texas 31, Ohio State 28.
I'm gonna disagree with Michael here on that. And then I think it'll be lower scoring than that. I think that the crowd noise is going to be something Manny's going to have to deal with. So he's not going to be the gunslinger that I think down the road we'll see. And I think
score, so we're almost all done here.
Yeah, saying is going to have to be a little bit in check as we go into the
score.
Game.
What's the score going to be?
The score is 24-21.
All right. Well, guys, enjoy the games, and so we'll see you again next week.
Hey, thank you, Chad, and great job.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.